Dear students, this term we'll speak extensively about fairness all along the global food supply chain. We want you to have a deep think about what does it mean to bring value and what does it mean to govern fair relationships between all those suppliers, all those people involved in transport, all those people involved in storage, distribution, retail. Equally, we talk about people at the beginning of the food supply chain, be it farmers, be it the people on the land of the water source. At each of those instances, please, dear student, also think about you, your relationship to food. You as a consumer, perhaps you're also a producer of food in other ways. Maybe you actually do grow your own, as many of our colleagues do here as well. Grow vegetables in our gardens, but you know where it comes from. But here's the real question. Do you understand that we are in a food crisis? One of the issues that we'll look at are the suppliers of processed food. And while I'm a fan of many processed foods myself, I understand that many of them, in fact, according to Mark Bittman, who is a researcher on the history of food and how it's developed on the American palate, talks about how 74% of the foods in our grocery stores are spiked. He uses the word spiked with sugar, meaning they have added sugar, which in many ways replaced taste. For one, as he explains in his TED Talk, which I want you to see and you'll be provided with a link to about this issue. But it provided flavor when people were becoming more aware of the dangers of fat. And so they had to remove fat from processed foods and replaced it with this. But equally high fructose corn syrup. Now, you know I'm into labels. If you check out the labels of any of your processed foods, you will find a moniker of words that are used to describe sugar. High fructose corn syrup is one of the primary ones, but there are so many others. Glucose, of course, we know is a sugar, but there are many forms that food processors and food makers use to add sugar to the food that aren't directly sugar. And some say that it's hiding in plain sight on the labels. We're not aware of how much sugar is in there if it doesn't actually say sugar. What's the problem? Well, if we eat in excess of sugar, of course, it has health ramifications on our bodies, not least of which is the fat that it turns into and then accumulates around our liver and has all implications for all known chronic diseases at this time, except for dental health diseases, according to Mr. Bittman in this TED Talk. I want you to see it, and I want you to think earnestly about how we've come to this stage in our modern world where we often even prefer processed food over even the what may even seem simple food that we can produce in our own homes. Of course, I have an ulterior motive. I want you to eat healthier. I want you to eat food that's fit for purpose. So you're a student, you got to think a lot. Eat brain food and see you in the seminars and online.